What is up, everybody? What's going on? And welcome into Alarm Fantasy Football. I'm Howard Bender, Andrew Cooper by my side, and oh baby, this is the last show here before the end of the NFL regular season. Now we're gonna have an Alarm Fantasy Football next week on Tuesday, where Coop, Britt Flynn, and John Impemba join me as the four of us build the winning lineup for the FFPC playoff championship. So Alarm Fantasy Football is we got some changes coming on here on the channel for next week once the regular season starts, but let's stay focused on the here and the now. Oh, did I also mention we were going to be giving away a $200 entry into the FFPC tournament? We're not giving it away on Tuesday's show. We're giving you the winning roadmap on Tuesday's show. On Coop's fantasy football fiasco on Friday, he is going to be joined by none other than Eric Balkman. And the two of them going to be giving it away. You have to be a member of the Fantasy Alarm family. You have to be a subscriber to our Discord because that's where it's going to be. Anyway, there's the lead in, there's the excitement. Let's make it happen. But let's stay focused on the here and now. Coop, I mean, listen, you got your rankings out. I saw your incentives article pop, your snap count article. So you are neck deep in week 18. If you could sum all of week 18 into one word, what would it be?
I mean, sad. Sad's the word. Sad's the word I have because, man, I
thought you were going to go with
my favorite segment. What do you think about this guy? Yeah, but that segment never took off. No, I love doing this stuff, man. It is a lot of work, right? People don't see for every hour we do here, there's more than an hour of research and even just doing the show sheet and putting it all together that goes on behind the scenes. Brian Burns loading up stupid things into his little noisemaker there.
Brian Burns, that guy's a winner.
There's a lot that goes into this stuff, man. It's a lot of work, but it's just so much fun. So it is sad that we're going to be down the back some, but don't worry. We're going to be keeping a bunch of shows going. We're going to be doing giveaways. We're going to be doing stuff during the playoffs. And soon enough, we're going to be right into the dynasty stuff. We'll take a little breather, but we're going to be right getting after it. So, but it is sad that we're not going to be doing this every single day because I like doing it every day.
Listen, Coop, nothing says that you can't just sit here for an hour a day, every day next week at any time you like and just sit and talk to the world. I'm totally cool with that, right? I mean, listen, we've got Coop's fantasy football fiasco. We've on the website, we've done Coop Scoop. So now I think we need some like freeform football thoughts here from the existential mind that is at Coop a fiasco.
There's no question.
Boring as hell, but go ahead.
I just said on my Twitter that I was going to keep screaming into the void from 2 to 3 p.m. here with the lights off, microphone not even plugged in. So that actually sounds a lot better than doing that from 2 to 3 every day. So yeah, we'll get the content out there, folks. Don't worry.
We'll scoop you in because from 2 to 3 we're going to be doing the Better Sports Betting Show.
Oh yeah.
From now on with Dan Servadidio. So draft betting, like for NFL draft betting, for futures, everything like that. You don't have to scream into the void, Coop. We'll just turn you on here.
All right. Well, then it's not so sad. It's exciting. It's exciting. Wow. And this week, I'll tell you, so many moving parts. This is quickly becoming one of my favorite weeks for DFS, man. I'm deep diving. My tight end article is coming out this afternoon. I have to pare down the number of value plays that I have.
There's so many. There's so many.
Yeah. Usually, so it's like in my article, I do 2 guys at each tier, top, middle, value, and then I also sneak in bonus dart throws and the fade. So, I'm always throwing these in there. This one might be 2 value tier plays and 9 bonus dart throws. We'll see.
It's going to be like a deck of cards where you're like, pick a tight end, any tight end.
And I'm also gonna put in one name in there that's completely made up to see if people are actually reading, see if anyone's actually paying attention because Isaiah Gathings and these guys, nobody knows if they're real or not. We've never seen them. So it's like the Easter Bunny. So that'll be fun, man. I'm excited. But yeah, we got some picks for people today, do we not, Howard?
We do. We got underdog picks for today. We got NFL news and notes, injuries to talk about here. Before we get to all of that, I just want to say hello to everybody in the chat right now, right? Angelo's here, and you're watching it on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube page, aren't you, Angelo? We appreciate you very much. Hit that like button, please. That's what helps us. That's what helps Coop feed his family. I don't have a family, and I'm trying to wither away to nothing. But Coop could use it. Say hi to Britt Flynn.
Baby Laney needs her likes, dude.
Baby Laney needs her likes. Britt Flynn's here. Jack Senzen's here. Luke Costello. Skinny's here. Oh, yeah. See, Skinny's like, Skinny knows. Like, once we say free entry to the FFPC, Skinny's like,
that's right. Well, I'll tell you guys real quick, very quietly, hush, hush. We're giving away the $200 one. May or may not be giving away a $35 one on my show on Monday, too. So just keep your eyes peeled. Make sure you're tuning into this channel. Stuff might be coming at you from all angles. And, you know, the $200 one, you can win $500,000. The $35 one, the top prize is $100,000, dude. $100,000. And I'll tell you what. The guy that won last year, I was checking it out courtesy of our friends over at Fantasy Mojo who have the info. The guy that won the $100,000 last year, 4 tight ends in his lineup. It's tight end premium. So this is our wheelhouse, Howard. This is our wheelhouse, brother.
Our wheelhouse. I love that. I love that. And Fantasy Mojo, he's actually going to be joining me on today's Fantasy Alarm Show on Sirius XM. So tune in from 5 to 7 p.m. over there. You know, he's always good for a number of little nuggets here and there as he's been compiling this data for what? I mean, how many years?
Forever. I was going through it, and it's since the beginning of time. It
is deep dives there. So always great to get a chance to talk to him. So yes, Darren will be with us on the Fantasy Alarm Show today. In the meantime, let's get to some football. Let's get to some fantasy football. Where do you want to start today, Coop? Do you want to start with some of the craziest news that I saw? I was wondering if you might want to weigh in on this. It doesn't really have any effect on the fantasy aspect, so to speak. But
I know what you're talking about, dude.
Come on, Josina Anderson from CBS Sports says that there are teams within the NFC South with potential interest in Belichick. So
tampering
on a number of levels here.
They're tampering with my boy.
Does Bill Belichick dare follow in the footsteps of Tom Brady and go to Tampa Bay? I mean, I think Todd Bowles has been doing a great job over there and I think Dave Canales' offensive scheme was very nice there. But like, you've got that. Does he want to rebuild the Carolina Panthers? Does he want to go into the Saints?
Here's what he's gonna do. He's so spiteful of Brady. He's gonna go over there, win two Super Bowls with Tampa Bay. Then he's gonna buy a WNBA team, beat Brady's WNBA team, you know, marry a supermodel, you know, whatever it takes, dude. Whatever it takes to get one up on him. And I'll tell you what, while he does that, he's gonna fight Don Shula too. He's gonna break Don Shula's record. He's gonna fight him. He's got a hit list of things that he has to get done, man. So I wouldn't put it past him.
It's very, very interesting to see where he would end up there. I mean, listen, I think everybody's immediately thinking he's got to go to the Falcons, right? He's got, he needs a quarterback over there. Somebody will come in and quarterback the Tom Brady comes out of retirement. What?
I mean, dude, Kyle Pitts to the moon. I'll tell you where I want him to go, and that is the Los Angeles Chargers. And that's because the offense is built. Kellen Moore is great. Kellen Moore could take over the whole offense. They fired the coach and they fired the GM, Tom Telesco, so he could buy the groceries like he wants to, even though he's not that good. And they already have wide receivers. With the position he's the worst at buying the groceries for, right? They got Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and Josh Palmer and I guess Quentin Johnston, so he doesn't need to buy any wide receivers. So I think, you know what? It'd be a good spot for him. It'd be an interesting spot, but, we'll see.
I floated that to Bowden the other day, curious as to his thoughts. And his immediate reaction was no to the Chargers because he just doesn't think that Belichick can survive in the LA vibe.
Yeah.
He thinks
Oh
LA
my
is just kind of like
God.
a different animal, and that it would just not that it would annoy Belichick
Right. Just
so much to the point where he'd be like, I got to get the hell out of here.
just how many bouncers would put their finger on his chest and be like, dress code, dude. Right? Like, hey, you can't come in. You can't come in here. In Boston, it's no problem, dude, because everybody wears a sweatshirt from September to May, right? But like in LA, dude, no chance, dude. Showing up in like Crocs and stuff. Yeah, it's it's not happening.
Would be brutal. So yeah, just a little fun news there to kind of opine over, wondering what Belichick would do to each one of these teams. I mean,
Yeah.
really, all four teams could definitely benefit from his his knowledge, his wisdom. Carolina is definitely looking to still revamp that coaching system there. I would not. It would not surprise me to see the Saints clean house from Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael to bring in Belichick. It's funny. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are probably the least likely place for Belichick to land, which would probably mean that they're the favorite.
Right, exactly. That's where the NFL works, right? Least likely. I'll tell you what, though, the Panthers are interesting. The Chargers, the Raiders, teams where I look around and say, this team needs a separation of church and state, right? Like the owners getting their grubby hands in things and making the fans generally dislike them. Like fans do not like, it's no breaking news that fans do not like Dean Spanos, the owner of the Chargers. Right, like they hate him. They don't like Tepper. Dude, Tepper was throwing drinks on people this past week. Like that's where Belichick would be best, where he can say, "Okay, I'm going to take everything over football wise. You sit back and enjoy the show." Right, because that's what he does best. That's what Bob Kraft loves it. Right, so those are the teams where I think he would be best suited. I mean, Dallas Cowboys or Jerry Jones, maybe like teams like that where it's like someone needs to be able to say, hey, to the owner, you relax, I got this. Okay. Yeah. So that the Panthers, very interesting for that reason, especially. And Tepper, with what's going on right now, I mean, those are very expensive drinks. You see, he got fined like, was it $300,000?
Oh, he threw it on a fan. I mean, come on. I mean, seriously, if you're a regular fan and you throw a drink on somebody, so be it. Throw hands in the parking lot. But I mean, you can't sit there and like throw a drink on somebody and then take off deeper into your suite where you probably have like a driver and some security there too. So, kind of a garbage thing. The crowd here, listen, you can tell the fandom of who we got, right? Skinny says, I hear Bill likes gumbo. Angela says, we'll take anyone in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Jason Swinford here, Bucs season ticket holder. No talk about it here in Tampa. Honestly, first time hearing it today. Bulls will probably get 1 year at a minimum. Yeah. I mean, listen, like I said, of the four teams in the South, that is like the least likely. It would be funny only because Brady went there. That's really the only way I was like throwing it down on that.
I suggested Jason Swinford here saying Wilson to the Patriots, Bill gets 1 more year. I suggested that in a chat. I said, Patriots, someone was like, oh, I hope the Patriots don't draft Brock Bowers. And I said, well, Russell Wilson's going to need someone to throw to. And Mike Fiella said he was driving to my house. He said he was on the way to my house to kick my ass in that chat. So, yeah, I mean, Belichick in the past, there's a quote from Bill Belichick from a couple of years ago. I think it was
I've handled dozens of balls.
That's the one I was thinking of, Burns. Thank you. No, a couple of years ago, he said, I don't think there's any, he said, I think Russell Wilson completely underrated. I don't think there's anyone better in the game right now. And that was only a couple of years ago. So, I mean, it's not entirely crazy, but man, that would be either 0 or 100, right? Like it either works very well or they become the most hated team maybe ever.
Or maybe we go to the most hated college team ever, as Dustin Lutke says, Bill Belichick to Michigan once Harbaugh leaves for the Raiders. Oh, man. You know what? I got to tell you, man, I do not want to see Harbaugh with the Raiders.
No.
That I can't.
He would be, oh my, he would turn into like an actual pirate. Like I do love Harbaugh. Like, I love him from a distance. I wouldn't want him to be the coach of my team, but I love the quotes and like the one recruit saying that he didn't go to Michigan because Harbaugh walked into his kitchen, his hardwood floor kitchen with cleats on when he was recruiting him. Like the stuff like that, man. I love the all-time Harbaugh quote, for my opinion, was when they asked him why he's the quarterback coach, why his quarterbacks weren't good. He said, "You can't expect to plant potatoes today and eat potato salad tomorrow." That's a
Good quote. It's a good quote. I
there's a
kinda
ton of
think that
those.
You can't plant potatoes today and expect to eat potato salad
That's a
tomorrow.
good quote, man. It's a good quote from a ridiculous person. Yeah.
Skinny says he needs somebody to save him from Dennis Allen. Sorry. Yeah, there's Wilson to the Patriots from Jason. Bieniemy to Atlanta. From
I
Chris B.
would love that. Oh my god. Who said that in the chat?
Chris B.
I'm pinning that comment at the top.
You want Bieniemy? You want Bieniemy in Atlanta?
All I care about is
It's Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts in the playing big slot, dude. Big slot. Eric Bieniemy, head coach, offensive coordinator Chan Gailey, and the entire offense is just Kyle Pitts out of the slot. That's it, dude. That would be my favorite offense all time, Howard.
That would be crazy. Crazy. Yeah. Jack Sensen says Harbaugh's waiting for the Bears gig. It's very possible.
Now that's a Harbaugh spot. That's a Harbaugh landing spot. Yeah. Yep. I would like that. He fits with the Bears. He's gritty. He can't go like you can't have Harbaugh in LA or Miami. You know what I mean? That doesn't make any sense. He's gotta be somewhere gritty.
Gritty like Philly?
Like Philly, like Chicago, like Pittsburgh. Like those are Harbaugh cities. Does Pittsburgh just pick players based on having the most like Steelers names ever, like Roethlisberger and Freiermuth? Like is that how they pick those guys?
That's exactly pick those guys.
Like, Pat Freiermuth is like the most Pittsburgh name you can find.
Yeah, it's something really German sounding here.
Exactly, dude.
Dustin says Brady is going to own 10% of the Raiders. He's a massive Harbaugh supporter. I don't like it.
It's not crazy.
I got to be honest with you, man. I really feel like this Raiders team is buying 100% into Antonio Pierce.
I like it. I like Antonio Pierce. I like the things he's saying. I mean, again, it's small sample size. We could be like, oh, this guy's an idiot next year. But right now, I like what he's saying. You know what I mean? A lot of these interim head coaches, you go back and you look at the comments from them, and it's not inspiring at all. That timeout guy that coached briefly for the Broncos, that was the most boring dude I've ever listened to. Like, there was no chance he was going to be the head coach. Antonio Pierce, though, gets me fired up a little bit.
He is. He's a good motivating coach. If he gets himself, to like, improved coordinators, just guys who really then you can get away with something like that. So I'm into that. Britt tells us in other news, Taylor Swift's cats arrived at Kelsey's mansion, so she should be good all throughout the playoffs. Yeah, but I mean somebody's taking care of them there. Wouldn't the cats be better off in Taylor's place because Kelsey's going on the road? Kelsey ain't hosted no playoff games, man.
Dude, keep him on the private jet.
He'll host this one, and then
I can only imagine what these cats are named. Britt, what are Taylor Swift's cats named?
I used to actually know these names, but I don't right now. Can't eat too much chicken. It's a nervous animal. Jim Harbaugh.
What a legend. Dude, post the Harbaugh quotes in the chat. I mean, there are a few coaches that have just in the past have had amazing quotes. The Mackey from the Bucks had a few good ones. I remember they asked him, they said, what did you think about your team's execution today? And he said, I'm in favor of it. Get it? Execute them.
Execution. I got it.
But
Meredith Benson, Olivia Gray, and Benjamin Button. Those are the names of Taylor Swift's cats. Let's go to George Cook's question here. Because how about this one here? For the monsters who have to play in week 18, Tyrod Taylor, Sam Darnold, or Aiden O'Connell this week. The absolute worst trio of options. I'm just going to say, you know what? I'm
I
saying
know who you're
Aiden
gonna say.
O'Connell.
I was just I know you're in on O'Connell. I know
I'm in
you're
on O'Connell this week. And I like Tyrod Taylor. He looked like he moved the ball well against the Eagles, 2 weeks ago when he came in for that for Tommy DeVito. But O'Connell's my guy this week.
No, I'm with you from that list, man, because I personally I've been a Darren Waller guy for a long time.
Who?
Darren Waller, best
Who is
smile
he?
in football.
Does he play?
Well, no,
football?
that's the thing is I don't want him to play this week. I want him to just. I think it would be stupid. So I think Tyrod Taylor, I can't go with him. And then Sam Darnold. I've been saying this about Elijah Mitchell and all these guys. The glory of this team is that offensive line. Is Kyle Juszczyk. If those dudes are getting the day off too, I'm not super interested in these backups. Who's Sam Darnold going to throw the ball to? Again, Ronnie Bell and maybe Juwan Jennings, but he's been hurt. I mean, it's not a good setup. So yeah, I'm in on O'Connell. Antonio Pierce.
Yeah, right. I mean, because and here's the thing, right? It's the last home game. If they do go to replace Antonio Pierce, this is like the way that everything's set up right now. It's just primed for one of those like we're gonna win one for the coach. We're doing it for coach.
For the Gipper.
He's not dying of cancer here. He's just, potentially going to be leaving because, yes, as Dustin Ledke puts, Mark Davis is a complete moron. Indeed. All right, let's Harbaugh quotes all day. Nick Mullins is an option too. I don't hate Nick Mullins this week against Detroit because I kind of feel like at some point Campbell just pulls his guys.
Yeah.
But I still want to go with Aiden O'Connell with, the home game, the incentive.
No, I'm with you on that. And the thing is, the Vikings are going to be scoreboard watching. Like, there's a handful of things if they're not, they have a 3% chance of making the playoffs. They have to win, and then they need like a bunch of things to go their way. And I don't know, man. I just don't know if they're going to be playing hard. We'll see.
I also feel like Minnesota, there's going to be a quick hook if Mullins isn't getting the job done. They need a win and they need help in order to make that happen. And if they get off to a slow start, I could see a quick hook. I really could.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, absolutely.
Jerry Nelson says the upset this week is the Bears beating the Packers.
That would be huge. That would actually cost Jordan Love $500,000 straight up. Jordan Love.
If he makes the playoffs, he gets $500,000.
Jordan Love. So that's the interesting thing here, right? Jordan Love, if he makes the playoffs, he gets $500,000. If they win this game, they make the playoffs. If they lose the game, then they're out. So he straight up is playing a game this week for $500,000. And the back end of it, Howard, is that if the Packers don't win, then the Seahawks can make the playoffs. And if the Seahawks make the playoffs, Geno Smith gets $2 million. So one of these dudes is going to end. One of these dudes is making bank. Well, if they both lose, then now all of a sudden that's how the Vikings and some of these other teams can sneak in. But they can't both get those bonuses. So it's kind of crazy. And I honestly, with the contract Geno has, the $500,000 might be worth more to Jordan Love than $2 million to him.
That is true. Listen, I like the call here of the Bears upsetting the Packers. So I posted the confidence pool picks over at fantasyalarm.com today. That's a free article. You guys can check it out. And, I'm like right there at like on the edge of the top 10 overall in the one contest that I'm like using according to these picks. So I know I need to make a little bit of a move. I need to pick one upset game and kind of put that confidence level up. But I didn't think I needed to do it with two. And the two games that I was looking at were actually Bears upsetting the Packers or the Titans upsetting the Jaguars.
Ooh, I mean, it's definitely possible. I just don't want it to happen. So I was about to say, I was about to say it can happen, but it definitely can. I just don't want that to happen. I want to see the Jaguars in the playoffs. I want to see them in the playoffs.
Which technically I do too, but
it's entirely possible. I think the spread's only like 3, right?
The spread is low, but it's a matter of you got Trevor Lawrence with the bum shoulder. It's a shaky pass defense for for the Jaguars. They need to get out to like a really quick start here. And so I went with Vrabel and the home team, in that aspect for that upset. I do like Fields on the road upsetting the Packers here, but I had to go one or the other.
What about
because I was already locked into Miami beating Buffalo.
What about this one? Cardinals upset the Seahawks.
That's another one right there that is very, very possible. I have that in like the mid range. I think it's like 6 or 7 points for that one there, because that game couldn't really go either way.
Right.
Yeah. I put a big chunk onto like a heavy, I think I did like 14-point assignment to the Titans upsetting the Jaguars, because I don't think anybody's going to have that in this pool. And I think I could, move up. I think, everybody who's in the top 10 is probably going to go chalk with their picks, because that's what you want to do. If you're sitting there in the top 10, if you're in the cash line, within the cash line of a confidence pool, then for week 18, you just want to play it chalky, go along with, a lot of the money lines there and just kind of look to maintain your position. But if you are on the outskirts, rather than like try to win 1 week here, in week 18, I'm going to try and make that move above the cash line and get that kind of a prize there. So like I said, Miami was definitely already one that I was going with. It was Titans. Bears, super close.
Who'd you take in Patriots Jets just before we move on?
I took the Patriots.
They're going to win. Going to win.
I know they're going to win. Ezekiel Elliott's going to go ham on the stupid Jets' lousy run D. The Jets are going to be like, what the hell do we care? We suck anyway.
Why don't we get in some DFS under the radar plays? Because I feel like you've already named a couple of yours that we've been talking about.
Have I? Yeah,
I think you have, dude. There was another one right there.
Listen, we were going to definitely go over some of these guys under the radar week 18 players to watch for DFS. Yeah, I've said Aiden O'Connell. And I just said Ezekiel Elliott. Those are two guys who, they're in really great situations. And I think that a lot of people are going to avoid teams that have nothing to play for. So you'll get these guys. I mean, you're going to get them at low ownership anyway, but like Zeke would normally be probably like a chalky play for like a regular week of DFS in this matchup. But with neither the Patriots nor the Jets having anything to play for, I like Zeke. And then, and Aiden O'Connell. Stack that up, baby.
Yeah. All right.
What do you like?
So, I mean, mine is actually kind of chalky. Now that I've heard your explanation of like who people are going to go for, they're definitely going to be going for my guy. But I look at O'Connell, he's 5,400 on DraftKings. For just a smidge more, you can get Derek Carr, who's thrown two touchdown passes in two or more. So 2 or 3 in back-to-back games. He's on the same page with Juwan Johnson. Chris Olave's back, and they got to win. They got to have it. So I like him. And then the other one I'm doing what we're not supposed to do. I wrote the article on it. It's coming out. Obviously, you can lean into it a little bit, but you got to be careful with the incentives, because you can get smoked going for these incentive guys in the games where the team needs to win, because winning is most important, of course. But I look at Devin Singletary on Saturday, on that Saturday slate, and I'm going to have him in all my lineups, man, because he's got 3 different incentives that he can hit. One for rushing yards, he's probably not going to hit. One for yards from scrimmage.
How many rushing yards does he need? Come on. He can't just leave me hanging there. Am I rooting for a 162-yard rushing day for Devin Singletary?
I mean, technically, yeah. It's pretty much that. It's pretty much that. So the number for Devin Singletary for the rushing yards is big. It's pretty big. It's 165. So you've almost nailed it.
I was right there. That was like the perfect Price is Right bid, right? I got close without going over.
Yeah, you almost nailed it on the head. But here's the thing. So that's for 125K. He's probably not going to hit that. But he has another one from yards for scrimmage. That's 75 yards. And that's 1,100 yards from scrimmage. So 74 total yards, he hits that. That's very manageable. But there's another one that I think this is the one that boils down to his willingness and the coach's willingness. And I think that the way they've been using him lately, they want him to get it, right? So they've been using him for like every snap. Dameon Pierce is playing like 4 snaps in some games, 10 in other games. If he plays 55% of the snaps on the season, right now he's sitting at 53. He gets $125,000. So all they have to do is use him the way they've been using him in recent weeks, and he could easily get 125 and can get up to $250,000. And if he goes absolutely bonkers, which he's not going to, then of course it's 375. But I think that it's fairly reasonable for them to just use him the way he's been using, make sure he gets his bonuses and win the game. So Devin Singletary, lock him in Saturday night, banger.
I love it. All right. A couple more that I'm looking at. I mentioned on the yesterday's show, I was joking around about Harrison Bryant, but I mean, let's face it. You've got Jeff Driscoll under center. Who's he going to throw to? The scheme itself dictates throws to the tight end. Why do you think David Njoku has done so well? So Harrison Bryant against the Bengals, who have the worst coverage against tight ends. Like, we've gone through this. We've targeted against them all year. So why not target with little Harrison Bryant? Probably like min price on DraftKings, I think 25.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. And they're not gonna use they're not gonna use Amari Cooper. They're probably, I guess Cedric Tillman might play because he's a rookie, but everyone else is going to get the day off. So I could see a good chunk of Harrison Bryant there. The tight end I'm going with is a tight end I've quite literally never used in DFS. I've never advised anyone to draft him.
Oh, you mentioned him yesterday, right?
I mentioned him yesterday.
Okay.
The more I look at this, Cole Kmet, I think it would be silly for Cole Kmet to play. He tried to play last week, only got 13 snaps in with a knee issue. They're not playing for anything. So as much as you want to upset the Packers and whatever, he doesn't have any incentives. They're not playing for anything. And Cole Kmet barely played last week. Robert Tonyan played a ton, ran like 30 routes, got a few targets. Tonyan here against the Packers at 2,800 on DraftKings is for the first time interesting to me as a DFS play. So I'm going to sneak Bobby Funyuns in there. Bobby Funyuns.
Nice. I think we missed wide receiver. I'll give you Jackson Smith-Njigba. DK Metcalf, he's got the back issue. Tyler Lockett. You look at the DVOA coverage numbers of how the Cardinals handle wide receivers 1, 2, and 3. It's pretty funny. Against 1, they rank 31st in DVOA. Against the 2, they rank 6th in DVOA. Against the wide receiver 3/slot guy, guess what? They're back to, I think it's like 30th overall. Yeah. So they're right back to it. I would love to see, I think Jackson Smith-Njigba gets into the end zone for sure. I may or may not have used him, not in the underdog pick I'm going to give you today, but I may or may not have used him in a spicy tamale touchdown only parlay.
Ooh, I like that, dude. The Scorchers. Get those Scorchers going.
Get those Scorchers going, baby.
It's funny.
So damn hot.
It's funny with your. I used literally the same thought process to pick my wide receiver, my under the radar wide receiver. I popped over, looked at DVOA, our friends FTN over there, and I looked at the Patriots, who against the number 1 wide receiver are the 3rd best team against the number 1. Against the number 2, 10th in DVOA. Against the number 3 wide receiver, which is always a slot wide receiver, 32nd. Literally dead last. Miles Bryant is I cannot. He shouldn't be playing. He wouldn't be playing if it wasn't for Christian Gonzalez getting hurt. But so you have number 1, Garrett Wilson. They're going to do their best to take him away. Number 2 has been Jason Brownlee. Crickets on that. Number 3, though, out of the slot, Xavier. Yeah, they're the crickets. Xavier Gibson out of the slot has had a couple games where he popped. We've used him before without it working. I think this is the week where the Jets look at what we're looking at and look at the matchups and say, hey, you know what? If they're going to give us Miles Bryant out of the slot, we're going to take it. So Xavier Gibson, 3,500. So $399.
There you go. All right. So there's a quick look at some under the radar DFS plays before we get back to the chat, because I see it's popping and I definitely want to talk about a lot of these comments that have come through here. So we will, though, thank our sponsors at Underdog, right? We were just talking Scorchers. So if we're talking Scorchers, we're talking Underdog Fantasy. Go to fantasyalarm.com/underdog. Use the promo code ALARM. You'll get an instant deposit match up to $100 that, listen, you're going to use on pick'em contests. You're going to use them in best ball that we're doing for playoff contests, for best ball NFL when that starts up, for MLB best ball. Like anything you want, we got it over at Underdog Fantasy, and Fantasy Alarm has a ton of content across all sports to support Underdog. You can hit this QR code that's right here in front of me also, or just go to fantasyalarm.com/underdog, promo code alarm, get you that instant deposit match up to $100. We'll throw you some pick'em contest picks here like we've been doing all week. So you can go back and look at yesterday's show for 2 picks. The day before that, we had 2 picks. So we're just putting it all together for you here for one heck of a ticket for you for Underdog Fantasy Pick'ems. Like I said, I was doing a Scorcher parlay for myself for just Scorcher guys in there, and Justin Fields. In addition to Jackson Smith-Njigba, Justin Fields. We'll stay with Justin Fields. Does he get into the end zone on a rushing or receiving touchdown? Of course he does, because that's what Justin Fields does. And the Packers are terrible on the run game anyway. So once the Bears get down inside that, inside the 15, I would say it's all there for Justin Fields, ripe for the taking. He gets into the end zone. That's a 1.5x little scorcher there for you, Coop.
Scorcher.
Higher, by the way, higher than the half a touchdown.
We need. I like the whistle for higher, but when we go Scorchers, we need like a Scorcher one. So
Yeah,
Burns, get that going.
Way
for
to
next
go.
year.
Good job. Way to produce the show.
Way to go, Burns.
Brian Burns, he deserved better.
The more, we shouldn't talk trash to him because he does drown us out with those when we do that. So sorry, Brian Burns. I love you. Gotta love and respect Brian Burns. So I'm gonna get to mine here, and I'll tell you what. On Tuesday, I came in and said that with Stephon Diggs, he has not been featured in this offense. I was going lower on his number. I'm bringing it full circle on the last show of the year with my guy, Mr. Dalton Kincaid. There he is. Wow, great job with the lipstick on that, Burns. That must have taken you a while to
You
make
sure
sure you
got
got
a pretty mouth.
Make sure you got that just right. I appreciate you, buddy. But I'll tell you what, Dalton Kincaid last week, after he was dealing with the shoulder, he was dealing with the thumb, he was dealing with the bad game script in the Cowboys game where they threw like 15 times. Last week, he got back to it with the targets, got 7 targets, had 80-something yards, and Dawson Knox got nicked up, left the game with a concussion. Who knows if he's even going to play? But I'll tell you what, if I'm going lower on Diggs and I'm expecting this team to compete, I look at 3.5 receptions for Dalton Kincaid. I'm thinking easy one. So let me get the higher on that.
I just noticed all the lip prints on Dalton Kincaid himself, too.
I know. There's one right on his butt, dude.
Well done. Well done. Brian Burns, the ultimate of producers right here.
There's one directly on the butt. I know he chuckled to himself when he was putting that one on there.
Oh, easily. There you go. Oh, here we go. From Brian Burns. I initially put drool coming from Coop's mouth, but it looked like something else.
Burns, you ridiculous. All right, that's another.
I'm Andrew Cooper.
How many of these reads can we ruin in a row? I think this is now 7.
Burns has to do the editing, so I'm probably he can't put a comment like that into this private chat. Not expected to go public. Sorry, right. not in this dojo.
Unbelievable. Yep. So hey, get those in there. JSN Dalton Kincaid. Use that promo code to get it set up. And I'll tell you what, the big reason, you said Justin Fields, JSN. The big reason I love Underdog versus I've played on every best ball format, and the UI, the user interface, is easily the easiest one to navigate, the most satisfying. That's the big reason I use it, man. It is just the easiest one to use on your phone, on the computer. So that's where I'm at with Underdog. It's my favorite one. There's no question.
All right. So again, you can hit this QR code right here or go to fantasyalarm.com/underdog. Use that promo code alarm, get you an instant deposit match up to $100. And again, like Coop said, and like I've said before, we got lots of stuff coming up with Underdog here during the playoffs, during the off season. So make it worth your while. Make it worth your while. All right, back to the chat because now we got some questions coming in here. Jonathan Reardon says he's got the Jacksonville Jaguars defense. He can get the Saints D or the Rams D. Well, I don't want to use the Rams D because they're sitting all their starters as well. We've already heard from them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can't do that.
Jacksonville's got the incentive, obviously. But so do the Saints.
Right. But so do the Falcons actually have a reason to win. The Titans are probably going to play for keeps here, but I think I'm going to go Jags defense. And especially because, I said it on the show last week. I was like, Josh Allen in any given game is capable of 3 sacks. He had 2 games earlier. And what did he do, Howard? 3 sacks this week, right? I mean, I shouldn't have said capable. I said Josh Allen's going to have 3 sacks this week, right? But I mean, he went out and did it. And that's like the 4th time this year that he's had 2 or more sacks, maybe 5th time. So, I mean, that's at the end of the day, getting after the quarterback is the most important thing. So that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to go Jags.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Jags as well. It's a good, solid defense. They just, I do think that they could be upset in this game. I'm just saying. All right, so let's see. GZ209 says Hopkins needs 49 receiving yards for $1 million. Not sure if that was said already. We did not say that already. Coop, is that? I saw your article was contract incentives there. Was Hopkins a cool mill listed?
So he has a combination of things that will get him. So there's a ton of different ones that can add up to $1 million. He's got 11 yards, gets him $250K. 49 gets him $250K. 4 receptions gets him $250K. 14 receptions, if he has a monster day, gets him another $250K. 2 touchdowns gets him $250K. If he somehow has four touchdowns, that gives him another $250K. So as they said, when he got signed, they go, it's a incentive-laden contract, incentive-heavy contract. That's what they mean. Every step of the way, this guy can earn extra money. Odell has a similar contract, but a lot of Odell's are kind of out of reach. Like he needs like 218 yards to get there, but 6 receptions is $500,000 for Odell. $500,000. 16 receptions is $750,000. So if he were to come out and just get peppered with targets by Tyler Huntley, he could, make an extra $1.25 million. But I look at 6 receptions and $500,000. I'm standing with 1 foot on the coach's foot if I'm not in the game. I'm stepping on his foot saying, hey, I'm right here. I'm right here. $500,000 you throw me a couple screens, right? Like, so.
Well, let me ask you this because, I talked about this with Bowden also because I was curious as the GM perspective to what we were talking about yesterday. Like, the close enough, like, would that actually happen? And Bowden was like, no, absolutely not. Like, he's like, I've never seen it. Don't want to see it. And then Bowden turned around then and he was like, I would not in a million years bet the over on Odell Beckham's props because John Harbaugh would have to be out of his mind to let any of his starters on the field with the way that the Ravens have everything set up right now. And even Odell Beckham came out and made the comment himself that this is the best team that he's ever played on. Right. And that includes the Rams who won the Super Bowl. Right. So, I feel like the Odell Beckham one gets a little dicey. The DeAndre Hopkins stuff, 100% to the moon. Like just reading all of that right there makes me want to just throw Hopkins into it because if it's Tannehill, he'll definitely help out Hopkins with that. And if it's Will Levis, well, you want to talk about stepping on the coach's foot. I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to take Will Levis out for a fantastic seafood dinner and still call him the next day.
I mean, with Hopkins, Dorothy Mantooth is a saint. Hopkins is, with his incentives, we're not talking about a seafood dinner. We're talking about like a watch. We're talking about like a Rolex or something here. Because
he's taking Levis out and treating him real good in order to make that happen.
Now I've been digging deep, and I'll tell you one that I definitely believe we're going to see. I think Puka Nacua is going to go out and get the two numbers that he needs. Right, he needs 4 catches to set the rookie catch record and 29 yards to get the the rookie receiving record. And here's why I think he's going to get it, because they asked Sean McVay about benching the starters, and he specifically said, we want to be mindful of incentives and we want to be mindful of milestones. And he brought up a time that he screwed that up in the past, Howard. I tweeted it out earlier, but in 2017, right, it was Todd Gurley was leading the league in rushing yards going into week 18. Number 2 was Kareem Hunt, and it was a 13-yard difference. Both teams had clinched the playoffs, the Rams and the Chiefs, right? The Rams came out and said, we're going to bench the starters. And the Chiefs said, we're going to play ours. And Kareem Hunt went out there on the first carry he got the game. He took it for a 35-yard touchdown. And he took the lead. And Andy Reid said, all right, you're done for the day. Good job. And then benched Kareem Hunt after he secured that record. And looking back, Todd Gurley, who was inactive for the game, they couldn't just throw him in there. He kind of cost Todd Gurley a rushing title, right? So him this year saying, hey, we're going to keep an eye on that stuff, I bet you Puka Nacua is going to get those catches. I think he's going to go out there and get them. So,
all right. You're throwing him the football, right? Or at least your doppelganger.
That's right, dude. I'm warming up, dude. I'm ready to chuck. Let's go.
I'm just warming up my arm. Right? I love that old Play 60 commercial.
Yes, the Cam Newton one.
And then, last year they were like, yeah, he grew up to be like whatever. Was it Kyle Allen?
Kyle Allen, dude. Yeah. I mean, I was out there, dude. I was throwing bombs with the dog in the yard today. So I mean, I'm loose.
You're ready. You're ready. Okay. Yeah, pretty much. Probably took to Carson Wentz, and they were like, all right, you're gonna only throw it to Puka until he gets this record, so we can get him the hell out of there. Then go do whatever else it is you got to do.
Exactly. 100%.
All right, let's see what else we got here. Angelo says he'd rather see the Giants beat the Beagles. I'd like I mean, listen, nothing would make my wife happier than the Giants' victory over the Eagles. And listen, I'm already like, yes, exactly. I got the blue shirt here, Coop, with with the contacts in there, trying to kind of lure my wife in right now.
I wore my blue shirt.
Let her think about it a little bit more. Probably not.
There you go, dude. Maybe though. Maybe. I mean, the Eagles again. We mentioned it yesterday on the show. Folks that don't know, be careful with your Eagles players because they're going to be scoreboard watching. If the Cowboys go up by a couple scores, that game doesn't matter. They're locked in the 5th seed no matter what if the Cowboys win, so they could pull their starters too. And that makes me not like the backups either. Like I just don't like anybody in those games where if the team's going to start and then pull guys, I want no part of that.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go. The Cowboys, I think, just pedal to the metal there. I'll use CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver 1 this week.
So, all right. Jason Swinford wants to know how much do season incentives play in making the decisions this week? I think playoff, like if you're picking players for like DFS, then the team having something to play for probably my number 1 priority. Right. Then my number 2 priority would be to look and see who's got the incentives that are reasonably attainable, not like Odell Beckham's, over 5.5 receptions or whatever it is, 6 receptions. Like I don't think that is that attainable because I don't think that Harbaugh would want to risk Odell Beckham at that point. So
I know. Yeah. And I look at like the ones I like are the ones that are either on games that don't have implications. Like I like the Hopkins one. You're trying to reward this guy, right?
Yeah.
I also like the ones that are in meaningful games where it fits within the game script. Because let's say the Texans do go up big in this game, they might get excited. They might be a little happy and say, hey, you know what? Let's get Dalton Schultz's catches. Let's try and get Singletary's numbers here, right? So in those ones where it's like within the script of what they do anyway, I like it. The ones I see on Twitter with people betting the sacks, half a sack. Oh, this guy needs 1 sack. I mean, I don't like those ones at all. I don't like that at all because how many extra stunts can you run to get a defensive end a sack that he wouldn't have normally got? Like, aren't these guys going all out in most cases anyway? Like, do you have special plays drawn up where it's like, okay, well, usually we run this stunt, with guys going inside and outside 4 times a game. this week we're going to run it 10 times a game because we got to get when Max Crosby another sack. Those I'm not touching. I'm not touching any of those sack props trying to chase that one. Because, I mean, dude, if your guy goes out and only gets 2 sacks this game because he gets an extra $100,000, I would grab that guy by the ear and be like, why weren't you doing that all season, dude?
Yeah, right.
Like all of a sudden now you can just get sacks whenever you want. Like you should have been doing that all year.
I feel like that's an Auntie Coop move.
The earful, dude. Yeah.
Britt wants to know if it's wrong that she's looking at Justin Watson for a cheap under the radar throw. I mean, I don't hate it. I really don't. I feel like, I mean, we know Mahomes isn't playing, so it's Blaine Gabbert. I think the question is how much do we see the receivers play? I'm assuming Kelsey will probably be out too. I don't really know if he's going to play this week, but like given all the issues that we've had with the receivers, do you want them on the field? Practice it a little bit more? Do you not want them out there?
Rashee Rice needs 62 yards to be the only rookie this year with 1,000 yards.
Ooh, okay.
So that's going to be a please, coach, right? Because we know you mentioned it yesterday. Andy Reid he don't like playing those guys. So if they consider Rashee Rice a star, he's not going to play. But maybe they say, hey, let's roll the starters out at the beginning of the game, and we'll get Rashee Rice a couple looks on the first drive. I could see Andy Reid saying, hey, you know what? We're going to roll the starters for one drive. You're going to get targeted on that drive. If you get the yards, you get the yards. If you catch the first one, you get another one, right? And then after that, you're done. So we're going to give you an opportunity, but I don't like betting it because, it could easily just be like, hey, you know what? You had a shot at. But, I don't know. Outside of that, Zay Flowers, 142 yards away from 1,000 receiving yards, but he's 86 yards away from 1,000 yards from scrimmage. So maybe, but no, they're not going to do that with him either. So it really is just Rashee Rice that has a question. I don't think they do it though.
Let's see. Jonathan wants to know, are the Ravens going to get after the Steelers to keep them out? No.
Yeah,
we already know that Lamar Jackson is going to sit.
I think the question is whether the Ravens backups are just flat out better than the Steelers, which actually might be true. Like that's why I look at that 49ers Rams game and I'm like, 49ers backups are probably going to beat the Rams.
49ers backups likely to beat the Rams.
I think the 49ers backups are better than the Rams backups.
Okay.
Right. Whether Tyler Huntley can compete with Kenny Pickett Mason Rudolph.
Mason the Dragon Rudolph.
The Dragon. Well, now that he's the Dragon, I'm not sure. But before he was the Dragon, I bet it said, yeah, Tyler Huntley, why not?
I mean, I don't necessarily think that happens. I think the Steelers do make that push. I think Tomlin has his guys disciplined for this game, especially if you're going to see the Ravens backups. So I don't know. I mean, you don't want your division mates in the playoffs, but I don't think the Ravens are going to be too concerned about who the Steelers face. If the Steelers sneak into the playoffs, do you really think the Steelers are going to end up facing the Ravens down the road? Well, or are they going to be a one and done?
Here's the thing. If they do win one game, the Ravens are the 1 seed and they would face the 7 seed. So they actually probably would face the Steelers. They might actually disrespectfully look at the Steelers and say, yeah, come on in. Like
if the Steelers get past
they would face
Dolphins
a very difficult team. Two seeds. So yeah, they would face probably the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Nah, you're right. The answer is no.
Courageous cat. Yeah, see.
The Ravens want the best possible team in that 7 seed, to be honest.
The Ravens what?
The Ravens want the best possible team in that 7 seed because if the 7 seed knocks off the 2 seed, now they don't have to play the Dolphins or the Bills. They get to play the Steelers or whoever. So
yeah.
Little gamesmanship.
Then you don't want the Steelers in there because the Steelers aren't winning another playoff game. They're not beating a 2 seed. They're just not. They are not. Only week 18 will you ever hear I dropped Puka for Wan'Dale. Yeah.
It's right there. That's why we don't play redraft this week, but I love DFS this week. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's a Wild West.
Bacon sizzle for Scorcher.
There it is. The score.
There it is.
I like it.
He had that ready, right? Bacon sizzle for Scorcher? Scorcher from Tropic Thunder?
Nope, nothing on that one.
Nothing. Way to go. Way to go.
Sorry, Jack.
Herbs, what up, family? Thanks for all the awesome content in 2023. Really enjoyed y'all in here in XM. Just wanted to give you a shout out. Thanks, Herms. Appreciate it, man. It doesn't stop. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. All right. Yeah, we talked about Puka already here. Puka and the coaches. Puka.
Polka. What is that, dude? What's that from?
What?
Oh, that's Home Alone. When he's John Candy's listing all the polka albums. And he goes, polka, you know, polka king in the Midwest, you know, polka. She's like, no, polka.
All right, here's a question here: Ferguson or Kraft this week?
Ooh, so this week I am in on Ferg more than I've been in the past. Both are good starts; they're both pretty high, but I'm gonna go with Ferg here. I think the matchup is a good one for the tight end, and the Cowboys both teams have to win. Cowboys are in a must-win, and I worry that the Packers might be able to sneak some guys back into this game, whether it's Watson or Wicks or Musgrave or somebody. If they're all out, it's a lot closer, but I'm going to go with Ferg here.
I'm going to agree with the Ferg call. Kelsey needs 16 yards to hit 1,000. Okay, so, you know, like Coop said, he gets in, starts early. Get in, get out. Rice did not practice today. All right, we'll monitor that one. How about Chase Brown this week? Coop, you were in on Chase Brown yesterday.
I mentioned that yesterday.
Share it with Jerry Nelson here. What do you think?
Yeah, Jerry, we look around at these teams that have been saying, oh, it's all about reps, it's all about this and that. And, you know, Joe Mixon, because he renegotiated his contract, is kind of locked in for next year. They know what they have in him. That's where I look around and say, okay, who could get an extended look this week? Chase Brown deserves it. So I'm definitely in on Chase Brown. And as we've seen, he's a guy that can do more with less anyway, like Jaylen Warren. So it's like you don't have Devon Achane. He doesn't necessarily need 20 touches to break off a big play.
Anthony says 49ers are going to let the Rams win. Better chance they eliminate the Lions in the playoffs. Yeah, that's also a great point there, right? The Matthew Stafford revenge game narrative.
Wow.
Goff and Stafford meeting in the playoffs. I'd much rather, if I'm the 49ers, I would definitely be like, go right ahead.
That's right. Now,
please.
Yeah, the Lions aren't guaranteed that you know, it's not a guaranteed matchup.
They are. They're I mean, they can't move into the 2 seed. That's either going to Philadelphia or Dallas.
That's right. So if they were to beat the Rams would be the 7 seed, and then they wouldn't face the Lions. So that's right. The Rams win, they face the Lions. That is right. So yeah, maybe.
Oh.
Kind of like that. That's a little gamesmanship there.
That's a Shanahan move right there.
Yeah.
That is definitely a Shanahan move. Thank you for that, Anthony. Top youth play of the week. Tommy Tremble. Tommy Tremble this week.
I know you're a Tremble guy. I don't like
Tommy Tremble's going to get that one catch for 8 yards and a touchdown.
I know he's going to have one catch for 8 yards that's not a touchdown, and he's going to have a 11-yard run on an end around or a 2-yard touchdown run. He does that, man.
Either way,
he's one of those guys that he's like you know who he is? He's like a Chris Cooley. Remember Chris Cooley for Washington, where he's like a hybrid fullback guy. You know, get like an end around, do a hurdle. Like that's Tremble. So it could easily happen. I just look around and there's too many guys, sneaky guys that I like. I mean, are you going to go Tremble? Or are you going to go Kroll, Warrior King?
I'll go Tremble over Kroll, the Warrior King.
I think that's fair.
I will. I definitely will. Kev Tompkins says, week 18, welcome to the Dorcher Chamber. Yeah, you know, listen, it's definitely possible. I kind of, you know, I mean, listen, I like him more than I like Michael Wilson. How about that?
I mean, now that you've said Dorcher Chamber, I like him much better than
even more.
I still like Michael Wilson, but you can't. Somebody come up with a cool Michael Wilson name so we can get back on Michael Wilson. But Dorcher Chamber takes it right now.
Dorcher Chamber wins out immediately. All right, last question here from Luke Costello. Rookie look ahead here. How are you guys feeling about Blake Corum from Michigan?
I mean, the best team in college built their entire offense around handing that guy the ball. So much so that we don't even know how good J.J. McCarthy is because they didn't, need to let him loose, right? Kind of an interesting situation there. But yeah, I'm feeling good about Blake Corum. There's a lot of prospects out there that feel the I don't know. I haven't gone too deep just yet, but the top feels good, right? So like the Corums, the Marvin Harrisons, the Brock Bowers, Caleb Williams, and Drake May, like the first round of NFL picks are going to be good for rookie drafts for sure. The top 5 or so picks in a Superflex draft, I feel great. I don't care which one I got, honestly.
I'll let you know what their situation looks like after the draft. I want to see their landing spots first. You can say a guy's got, amazing talent over and over again. It doesn't mean anything until you figure out where he lands. Hence, Bijan Robinson, all the talent in the world, lands in a spot that completely deflates his fantasy value because Arthur Smith's an idiot. Right. So I'll look and see where Corum lands.
I'll say this landing spot matters where it matters from most to least. It matters. Well, I'll say the least is quarterback, because if it's a good player, he'll transform the organization. Then wide receiver, they have a long enough age apex where it works out well. Tight end next. They have to be a top 2 target on the team fairly early. So tight end, it is important. And running back, it's crazy important, especially if you're a first-round pick, Howard. You look at Najee Harris. If they were to pick up his 5th-year option, he's not going to be a free agent for the first time until he's 28 years old. And that's when people are already done with these running backs. Where you get drafted as a running back, that's where you're going to play the bulk of your meaningful career. So landing spot, Howard, absolutely matters at running back. I'm with you on that with Blake Corum. With the quarterbacks and stuff, I'm just in if I'm in.
Right. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us here today. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let's see. On Friday, you've got Coop's Fantasy Football Fiasco. You have Brit's Blitz as well. So they're going to help you guys out there. Next week, again, we're going to have a little bit of a change in calendar here, but Alarm Fantasy Football will be here next week on Tuesday, 1 p.m. Eastern, as Brit, Coop, myself, and John and Pemba, we all build our FFPC players playoff championship lineup. So that's going to do it for us here today. Big thank you to Brian Burns for producing. For Andrew Cooper, I'm Howard Bender. We'll catch you next time.
Polka, 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 polka.
Adios, turd nuggets.